Welcome to the UK Planner podcast. In this episode, we talk to Holly, the organiser of the Southwest Planner Club and also owner of Cressida Rose Planners. Hi, I'm Ash, the full-time host of the UK Planner podcast. And on my right is our part-time host, full-time best washi collector in our household, Ari.
Hello.
And then squeezed into our tiny studio, we have another person today. We have the amazing Holly from Southwest Planner Club. Hi, Holly.
Hi.
So have you ever actually been on another podcast before? Because I know you have a podcast on your Patreon, but have you ever been interviewed on a podcast?
No, I was thinking about this on my drive home from work, and I was thinking, like, have I ever been kind of interviewed or done anything like that? And I was like, don't think I have. So no, first time being a guest on
There's
a
a first time for
podcast.
everything.
So for people who don't know about the Southwest Planner Club, do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so the Southwest Planner Club started in 2019, and that was because there wasn't much in the way of planner events and kind of social planner things in the Southwest. And so, hence the name, the Southwest Planner Club started to kind of fill that gap. So, the Southwest Planner Club has been going for 5 years now, and we've held multiple face to face events, online events, there's a Patreon, and all sorts of other things, merch and fun things that happen, really.
So is it exclusively for the people in the Southwest, or can anyone be part of it?
No, not at all. Anyone at all can join. It's just that this is where I'm based and this is where the face to face events are. But no, everybody is welcome worldwide.
As you get bigger, do you ever feel the pressure to kind of knock off the Southwest bit and kind of go a bit more like having like a rotating event around the country? Or are you quite, have your heart in the Southwest?
It's a tricky one. Obviously, being based in the Southwest, if the event was, let's say it was in London, then I would have to go like once to see the venue, but then I wouldn't be able to go again. Whereas what's really nice is the venue this year is about 20 minutes away from me. So it means that I can just pop in and kind of, if I need to refresh my memory about something or I want to ask them something, then I can do that. I wouldn't be against going away from the Southwest, but for now, I think I'm going to stay
I
here.
heard from Ash a little bit about the origins of Southwest Planner Club. And is it true that it started as just little coffee shop meetups and it's grown since then?
Yeah, so to begin with, we used to meet in the Cozy Club in Taunton, and it was just about coming together. There was about 6 of us maybe that would just meet like once a month on a Saturday morning for like brunch, and we just took our planners, and downstairs in the one here, there's like a little sofa area, so we'd just like chat about planners and like show each other things, and yeah, it was like really cute and just cozy. And then I remember we were talking about like, could we invite a few more people? And at the Cozy Club, they had a function room. So we went to have a look at it, thinking like, oh, we could, make this like 15 of us if we wanted, but we couldn't really do that where we were. That was in April of 2019. And then somehow the next thing, we were organising a proper event for 60 people in Exeter. I'm not quite sure how we kind of like fell into that from let's just like invite 15 people to the Cozy Club. And then, yeah, it was funny. It just kind of
And now look
happened.
at it. It's amazing. A big event every year that everyone looks forward to.
Yeah, it's nice looking back and kind of seeing where we started and where it's at now.
So after your event in 2019, if you had thought, where am I going to be in 5 years? Do you think that you could imagine where you are now?
So this year would have been the 6th Southwest Planner Club had we been able to go every year. But instead, it's our 4th face-to-face one. However, there's now also been 4 online events, which I would have never have dreamt we'd have done. And it's great because there's a different audience and there's people who can't come to, main events, whether that's because of where I am or, just commitments they've got at home. It's different, but I don't think there was a plan. This is where I want to get to, and this is how I'm going to do it. I think things have just happened, and actually, the way things have happened are really great. And I think, had COVID not happened, the online events would never have happened because that was a kind of a replacement. Whilst we couldn't do anything, what can we do? We can all sit at home in our craft rooms or on our sofas and have a fun day, still feeling like we're with planner friends, but obviously all in lockdown. And I absolutely love the online events. Like they're a bit different. I like the fact that we all sit at home and it's just relaxed, and I don't finish the event feeling like I need to go and lie in a dark corner for 2 weeks. Like at the end of it, like you just feel good. I mean, I feel good at the end of an event, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot more tiring running a proper event than online. So there's something really nice about those. So yeah, I've gone round in circles a bit here, but basically, no, there was no plan.
What made you continue doing the online events?
Just because of how popular they were, and when we all came back out of lockdown, and the first event we went back into was April 22. But people still said like, oh, we love the online events and when's the next one? And people are always asking for more and more online things. So just felt right to continue.
I really enjoyed the online events that I've gone to, especially because the last one I was actually in Hong Kong. So if it had been a in-person event, I wouldn't have been able to come versus I could call in and just end my evening before bed listening to the event, doing the workshops and things. So I thought it was a really good opportunity, especially for folks who are abroad or, like you said, can't attend the in-person events for whatever reason.
Yeah, we had someone from the US do it the first 2 times, I think. And obviously they had to dial in like in the middle of the night when we started. But yeah, it's great that they can do that.
How do other events affect your event? Like, for example, obviously there was quite a well-known event that ended up getting cancelled. I think that's happened a couple of times now in the planner community where an event has got cancelled, and obviously that has affected things. But also on the kind of other side of that, when an event does something maybe that has kind of blown people out the water in a positive way, does that then affect your event?
It has been a tricky couple of years for planner events. We all know what happened with a big planner event. That must be like 3 years ago or something now. I can't remember. It feels like time has flown. And I think that made a lot of people really nervous about planner events and about giving their money to them and trusting them. And I think there has been a few events that haven't come to fruition, and I really feel for the people that organise those. But I think because people are so nervous, you really have to work hard on building that trust and making them feel comfortable and being fully transparent. And sometimes when I'm organising the event and when I can start sharing things, I felt in the past like, am I an oversharer? Am I telling people too much? But I actually think it makes people feel more comfortable and like they know that what happened before is not going to happen. Like they know you're spending their money on the event and booking things. And I think for planner events as a whole, like what I've really learned is you can't jump into doing a massive event. You've got to like build it up and gain people's trust and friendship through that. And I really hope with all my heart that people believe that Southwest Planner Club is like fully trustworthy and that I am the person I say I am, and that they don't that thought never even has to cross their mind about the community that I've built.
Yeah. And I absolutely don't think that you're an oversharer. As someone who is always a little bit wary about new things and who has also been burnt by things not going through that we're supposed to, I think obviously there's timings and we understand that some announcements can't be made until you have all these things confirmed and stuff like that. But when it comes to you sharing details about, I know it's going to be here, I have booked this, I know it's going to be these days, I've already booked it, I'm looking at this venue, whatever the case may be, I personally don't think that's oversharing because it gives me reassurance that, okay, this is definitely happening. The work is being put in. If you've already confirmed with X shop and Y shop, then they have put their name behind you. So then I know absolutely this person is doing exactly what they're saying they're doing.
Mm. Yeah, and that's why I think I always want to say things. I always want people to get excited and to feel they're part of the event. And, this year for the first time, I've made an attendees Facebook group. And I know there hasn't been loads in there yet because we're still quite early, but I really wanted to involve people in decisions, even if it was just simple things like what food should we have? Like I genuinely really value people's opinions and the community being part of this community event and making it the best it can be. So, yeah, I'm really glad that it reassures you and people that I'm doing what I say I'm doing and, there's no need to worry.
I think people really appreciate the fact that you go out of your way to reassure them. Could you tell us a bit more about kind of the struggles when it comes to the logistics of the event?
So, what can be really tricky is the timings of events. So, most events have a plan of kind of like when they release their dates, when they release their tickets. And I remember in past years, us kind of like nailing the date. When there was two or three of us organizing the event, we would be going together to look at venues. We'd be trying to find a date that suited all of us, and it was quite tricky. So in a way it is easier for me now just being me, because I can be like, that date fits me, perfect, let's go for it, kind of thing. I remember one year literally watching a Facebook group where they were announcing, like they were doing a poll to suggest dates, and one of the dates was literally the date of the 2022 Southwest Planner Club. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, do not choose that date. Like, it is literally the same day. And thankfully they didn't. There is no like, animosity around it or people trying to beat other people. It's just sometimes the way it goes. But I think that's the trickiest thing, because you don't want them too close together for the shops and for the attendees. I know these events cost a lot of money and people have got to take annual leave and travel, have hotels and the tickets. So affording events close together is really difficult. So it is definitely a challenge. And you're not always able to put your event at the perfect time. Last year it was July, and I enjoyed doing it in July, and I probably would have done it at July this year. However, Planner Fest, Journal Fest, Stationery Fest is at the end of June, and so I felt that that was too close to do that again, because it's not fair on people. And then there was going to be another event in May, so I was like, right, can't do it in May because of that. And so it is difficult. And I know that not everybody is going to be happy with the date, but like sometimes you just have to know that you're not going to please everybody, but you've got to pick a date. Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing. Every event is always different in its own way. So I never worry about what they're going to be doing, what they're going to have, what shops they're going to have there, because there's always a difference and there's always different people that go to them. So yeah, definitely just working out logistics is the most tricky part, and making sure you don't clash with anyone else. Yeah.
Do you, as event hosts, ever talk to each other about when you're thinking about when your event might be the following year? Has there ever been a conversation, like a text message or even a group chat, since there are a few UK planner events that are fairly regular?
Yeah, there has been. I know, for example, last year, I think it was last year, I messaged Bex and I was like, is the event going to be the same next year? Can you give me the date to make sure like we don't clash? Interesting you talk about there being like a group, because that is something I've always thought about, that there almost needs to be just like a little group chat for the like 5 or 6 planner events that just say, hey guys, I'm thinking about my date, like I want to go for the 10th of July, just to check no one else is doing that. Like, I've always thought that. It's never happened. Maybe I need to start that. I think some people are quite guarded and they don't want to necessarily like give away all the information. I don't think there's any reason for them to be worried about that. I think we're all like in it together, and I personally want to see success for everybody. And I think the really positive thing about other events is when another event is successful, people are then searching and hungry to find out when the next one is, which is then a positive thing on your event, because they're like, oh, I need to come to your event now because I desperately need another event. And I remember that happened with Palentine's last year. Like, that was February and our event was July. And people were coming up to us afterwards, like, oh, this has been so good. Like, I'm going to have to come to yours, because they just want the next thing. And so I think working together can never be a bad thing. Like, collaborating and partnering with people, like, how can there really be a negative, aspect to that?
So you don't just run planner events, you actually have your own shop, Cressida Rose Planners, right? Like, where did
Yeah.
kind of the idea of having a planner shop come from?
So I started in COVID. I don't want to keep talking about COVID, but it influenced a lot. So I think there was a lot of the time where I was at home, obviously not doing very much. I bought a silhouette with the idea that I was going to like do make my own printable stickers, and perhaps I could use it for Southwest Planner Club. And at that point, I hadn't even thought I'm going to open a shop. I just remember seeing someone selling a silhouette on a Facebook group and thinking, I've got a decent printer. Actually, why don't I get this silhouette? And then I was just like talking to friends, and also wanted like a bit of a project to get my teeth into whilst we were in lockdown. And so I just think I decided one day that I would just do it. And just, yeah, went for it really. But I don't think it was about planner items, to be honest. I've always really loved a lot of the stuff that is or was for sale in the US that we couldn't easily access here. Obviously postage was crazy. This was before even the days of like having to pay customs at checkout and stuff, but you would obviously get customs from Royal Mail or whoever it came with, and postage was crazy. And so I probably always thought like I want stuff that's not available here. And I guess the dream would still be, because I don't think I'm necessarily there, the dream would still be to like make those things that I loved seeing from the US or Canada or wherever. But I don't think that was necessarily the thought at the time. It was just, how can I package myself up and what I'm like in a shop? So I hope if somebody goes on to my Etsy shop, and if they know me, or even if they don't, if they know me and they scroll down and look, they think this is Holly in a shop. And if they don't know me, that hopefully that kind of is obvious. Like, love pink, I love girly things, I love kind of like chic, classy planner supplies, and I hope that that comes through in what I
Yeah.
do.
Can I ask, where did the name come from for your shop?
So my middle name is Cressida, and for years I was really embarrassed by that, because I just thought it was just horrible. I just hated it. And whenever anyone would ask, have you got a middle name, I always cringed having to tell them. And I'd always tell the story of how my mum wanted that to be my first name, and my dad was like, no way. And so I'm very grateful to not actually be called Cressida. So Cressida is my middle name, and Rose is my little sister's middle name. So when I was thinking of names, and I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea, but was just trying to think of something a bit different, and so I put the two names together.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's a really nice story.
Yeah, no, it's nice, and you know, I'm really close with my sister. We're about 6 years apart, but we've got a really good relationship, and so it's nice to like think of her when I think of my
That's
shop.
such a sweet story. I really love that.
I was going to ask, what is the best item you've ever got in a swag bag? I will even allow it to be your own swag bag.
I've not actually been to that many planner events because there isn't that many. So I think I've been to 5 other than my own. And this is going to sound really big-headed, and I don't mean it to. But I think the best items have been in the Southwest Planner Club swag bags. Last year, like we had some really generous businesses that contributed. And so getting things like zebra mild liners or the planner from Carpe Diem, like I know that wasn't exactly in the swag bag, but there's been some lovely items. I tell you, the one item I do love is the tweezers that we got in the Palentine's box. They're like oil slick colour, and they're really good tweezers, and I use them all the time. So I would say that's probably item that I use the most from a swag bag. But like thinking about things I've loved getting some of the things that we got last year, and some of like the personalised things that were made for the event. You know, when shops like theme it to the event, I think that's always really cool.
I really do love it when we see things that do say Southwest Planner Club, or it says like sleepover themed, because last year's event was sleepover themed. I do appreciate that. That's such a nice touch.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of swag, I know that when we, in our first episode, did our roundup of the events we went to last year and the kind of coming events this year, we did speak a lot about the swag. What would you say is something that you feel like your event could humble brag about that isn't swag?
What I love the most about Southwest Planner Club is the community, and I think the community at the events is fantastic. I think so many people have now been to numerous events, whether that's online and then they come to their first like main face-to-face event or vice versa. But I think we're building up a really amazing group of people that love to spend time together. They're welcoming, they're open to everybody, and like it's always really lovely at the event to kind of stand at the side and just watch people be together and make new friends, see old friends, and I don't think that will ever get old about the event.
I definitely felt it last year when I went to your event, like the community feel, considering that it was a 2-day event and we were so chock-a-block busy. I feel like I could tell you like at least the faces of everyone at that event, because everyone was just it fosters such a nice open feeling.
No, I totally agree, and I'm really proud that it's like that. And like any kind of community you join, it can get kind of cliquey, and you can find that there's groups of people that stick together and kind of don't let others in, or natural groups of like best friends that form, you know, things like that. But I really don't feel like it's like that. I think everybody is just really open and like just happy to welcome people in with open arms if they've not been before. And yeah, I'm really proud that the event is like that.
I think something I will commend you on, because last year I was lucky enough to get to see behind the scenes when I was helping out with the setup. And I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, where I've been helping out with other planner events, and I've definitely got the sense from those events where they've gone, okay, this is the number one table, the best stuff goes here, and then as like you get the items that maybe we have less of that might not reach the final table. And with your event, there was literally no favorism. You were literally like, the same stuff goes in everybody's bags, whether they're a shop owner, whether they've been to this event, all of the other times or the first time, there is really no bias with your event.
When I started this with a couple of other friends, and we said from the beginning that one of the things we would never do is like sponsored tables. So, at Go Wild or lots of other events, a vendor will sponsor a specific table and fill it with their swag or their decoration. And the very first planner event I went to did that. Although it's lovely to see, and it's lovely for you to get a table that could be really special because it's like just for you, I think it can really make that inclusivity and kind of fairness difficult. And there are always going to be people that naturally not are jealous as such, but like look over at someone else's table and think like, oh, that's my favorite brand, I wish I was sat there. And the way that I do the table plan is like, you don't go in like at Go Wild and run to your favorite table, beforehand. So I would have been the one choosing where like that company was sponsoring. And so from the very beginning, we always said that is one thing we will never do, because we don't want businesses to feel like they're competing and that they have to spend a certain amount of money to, have a good enough table. And B, we don't want attendees to feel like they haven't got the kind of same level of swag or whatever, and kind of be looking at other tables thinking they wish they were somewhere else. Although, you've got like the angel and the devil either side of you, and part of you wants to be like, oh, but imagine, because if they've only got to sponsor one table, they're going to make that like amazing. And companies still do ask, like, do you do table sponsorship? And so the blanket line, I always say now is, I've decided that we're not doing that. And so like, we'd love you to sponsor, but you need to give something to everybody to make it really fair.
And I appreciate that you do that, because I think that what I would hate to see, and why I particularly have not attended events that do that, especially when it comes to where you have to pick your own table, or even if there is a table plan, because I would never want to see a shop owner who put so much work and so much care and love into setting up a table, and then have people say, "Oh, I really wish I had that table," or, "Oh, I didn't want this table." Because like, everybody started as a small business, regardless of how big they are now. They all started as a small business. So it would break my heart to see someone who, especially if they're just getting started and this is their first time ever doing this, to have people not be as excited about being on their table versus some other brand that's much bigger or much more well-known because they're new. To me, I definitely agree with it makes it more fair and makes sure that everybody gets to enjoy it. And even if it does mean brands do something a little bit smaller, everybody still gets it. And no one has to
Yeah.
face the disappointment. No one has to face any like table envy. And there's no small business getting people saying, "Oh, I wish I wasn't on this table."
Yeah. No, because that must feel like pretty gutting, because you may have put absolute all in and every penny you can afford to put into it. And that's not going to probably match with, Erin Condren or Simply Gilded, because their resources are just, so much bigger. But you've put your 100% in. And that would feel really horrible if someone was then like, oh, I wish I wasn't on this table.
I will say something, because it doesn't sound like you're willing to humble brag about it, but I will brag about it for you, which is you, I think, do a very good job of having a good variety of shops that come and are vendors at your event. because there are the bigger ones that are very well established, have been around for quite some time, are very well known to the planner community. But then I've also noticed that you do bring some smaller shops in to have a little more variety. And last year, I thought you had a really nice variety of a lot of very cute, a lot of very fun, a lot of shops that people know very well. But you also had some smaller shops that either had never really been a shop at an event or they were coming from far away. Like, I know you had at least one shop coming from Scotland, right? Was it Ireland?
Both, someone from Scotland and someone from Ireland.
Yes. So you had a really good variety. You also had a good variety of aesthetic because I do like floral things. I do like pinks and pastels, but I also like the darker aesthetic, a dark academia, spooky vibes. And so I really appreciate that you have enough shops and enough variety that it kind of you can find something regardless of who you are or what your aesthetic is. You can find at least one shop that kind of fits what you're looking for.
Thank you. It's a balancing act. And this year I had to make some tough decisions because there was quite a lot of shops that applied this year. And as much as I would have loved to, I couldn't have them all. So I really try and choose, as you say, some kind of new shops, some really traditional planner shops, some more kind of illustrators that, really what they specialize in is actually, beautiful products that they draw. So it is a bit of a juggling act. And yeah, I try and make sure there's something for everybody.
Yeah. And I noticed that a lot of the shops end up then helping to run or do run the sessions. How do you often decide, like, do you often get more people offering than you have slots, or are you quite lucky where it balances out quite naturally?
Yeah, I think it varies. Some years, like everybody wants to do a workshop or a talk or whatever. And then other years, people don't offer quite as much. Some people I approach, and then like vice versa. So I think it's a balance. It naturally makes sense that the people who run the workshops are people at the event. Although this year I have been doing some investigation of like businesses that are just in the southwest and could come just to deliver a workshop but won't actually be attending the event. But on the whole, it does make sense to have shop owners that are there, and shop owners are creative people. So, a lot of them draw all their own stickers and create their own products. So, they're able to turn that into being creative with the group.
So, how hard is it for you to keep details about the event?
It's always really difficult because obviously I get excited when I get that email saying, like, oh, yes, we'd like to do that. And I want to like run around and tell people and squeak and like, wave my hands and get excited. But I have to try and control myself and keep it in. It's lovely having the Patreon community because I feel like I can kind of tell them things that are like secrets and they get like the insider knowledge. So it's really nice having them, but it is difficult. And I have to tell some people, like, I couldn't completely keep it to myself. Like, I just think I would not manage. So, like, obviously, I tell friends and like stuff like that. But yeah, it's always lovely when you announce something and like you can feel the excitement from people.
So, then coming to this year, is there anything that has been especially exciting that you couldn't wait to be announced?
Yeah, definitely. So it's always exciting having announcements. And if you follow the Southwest Planner Club on socials, those of you who are listening, you will know and will have seen this announcement by now. But I'm really excited about the announcement that has just been made, not just because of what it is, but because it's the first time that this brand has actually been to a UK planner event, supported a planner event like this. And so that, again, just makes me really proud that they've chosen the Southwest Planner Club to kind of start this UK planner journey with, I suppose. And so, for any of you who haven't seen or heard, I'm really, really excited that at this year's Southwest Planner Club, Zebra are going to be attending. So, I'm sure all of you know about the amazing pens that Zebra create and sell, anything from just your kind of standard biro through to highlighters, special journaling pens, mild liners, serratas, you name it, they've got it. And they are going to be selling and doing other activities at Southwest Planner Club. And that to me is just like, wow, really. And yeah, there's lots planned. Would you like me to kind of go into a bit about what they're going to be doing?
If you're able to share, we would love to hear because both of us use Zebra mild liners in our planners regularly, and I use their Rasa dry pen in my Hobonichi.
I don't know a planner who doesn't use their pens, and that's what makes me excited because I think like they've got to be one of the biggest pen brands. And like I keep saying to myself, they're coming to Southwest Planner Club. Like it just feels like, yeah, kind of mind blowing. But yeah, so they're going to be there for both days. They're going to be selling stock. So essentially, up until now, it's not been part of their kind of business plan to actually sell physically at events. But this year, they're starting that. And so the Southwest Planner Club is going to be the first event that they do that at. That's really exciting. So during Saturday day as well, there's going to be boards that people can sign. So there's going to be all types of Zebra pens out, and there's going to be like big foam boards that you can write a message, do a little doodle, sign whatever you want to do, and they're going to like display those throughout the event. And then on Saturday evening, the kind of format of the evening parts are always quite relaxed. It's just about having fun, being with planner friends. And so we thought it would be really nice to have this little creative station where you can go over, you can try different pens out. There's going to be some like colouring postcards, there's going to be some pen swatch postcards. We're going to have little samples of lots of different types of planner paper so you can see how the pens like react, whether there's ghosting, whether they bleed, all of those different types of things. And yeah, it's just going to be really fun. They're going to have Zebra merch, they're going to do Zebra giveaways, and I am just so excited that they have chosen to do this for us for the first time.
That is super exciting, and I'm also learning this information now about what's going to actually be happening and the Saturday night. So it will be very hard for me not to want to talk about it, but it is super exciting. And I think that you do a very good job of building relationships with people. I've noticed just the way that other shops that I've talked to and just even my own experience of coming to your event because I had not gone to a lot of planner events before.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm just excited for Southwest Planner Club and all of the attendees that actually these companies like recognize how much we love these events and their shops, and that they actually want to come and be there for us.
Ari brought up a really good thing about how warm and welcoming Southwest Planner Club is. And that really leads me on to something that's really important to both Ari and I. Obviously, we have Ying Ying, our assistant's dog. And from our experience with our kind of access needs, it's always been really well met. How important for you is access when it comes to your event?
Really important. I want everybody to feel welcome and like it's completely accessible to them, no matter, whether they've got a disability, an invisible disability, or they just feel they maybe need more support. Like to me, it doesn't matter whether they've got a piece of paper that says X. I just want everybody to feel welcome and able to be themselves. And so I do my very best to make that happen. Of course, there are always things that are out of my control, that are things that are, maybe the venue does or the hotel, whatever. I just try and do absolutely everything like early access, and I make sure I put out a big survey beforehand asking if people need assistance. Have they got assistance dogs? Do they need to sit somewhere in particular? I do things like open the food queue early for anybody who needs to go first, things like that. And just, yeah, I know that these events can be daunting for everybody. People come a long way. Some people, this is the very first one they've been to and they've never met anybody. And so I don't want them to have to also worry about other things. I just want them to know that they are looked after and supported for that weekend.
I know that back, especially when I started planning, it was all very female orientated. A lot of things said plan a girl and things like that. Are these things that you kind of have considered, especially in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think, especially as you say, in the last couple of years, I've become more and more aware of those kind of things. So I think when I think back to like when I first started planning, there was a big like planner girls, the planner girls squad. Happy Planner was all about the planner squad, but they were always girly girls. Everything was always pink. If there was like kits with fashion girls in, it was always girls, and I think everybody has become a lot more aware, but it's really important to me to try and ensure that everybody feels represented. I really try not to focus on the girl aspect. So, like, more than happy to go for like planner squad, that kind of thing. That tends to be like the term I would try and use. And I try my very best. We're not perfect, none of us. And I guess we've been brought up for so long with just girl or boy. That has been historically how we've all kind of been brought up. And so you do have to try and change your brain and kind of train it to think about all of the other things that there are out there and all of the lovely people in the world, whoever they are. Yeah, I really try my best. Sometimes I make mistakes, but yeah, I do try my very best.
I hope you won't mind me saying this, but you are quite a high femme girly girl, and that is quite part of the brand of Southwest Planner Club. So I guess what I'm asking is, how are you able to kind of include that kind of gender neutralness while also not losing the heart of Southwest Planner Club?
Yeah, and like I am your typical girly girl. When I look around my room, my planner room that I'm in, my walls are painted pink. I have bunnies, I have girly things around me, I have postcards on the wall with glitter. If you could think of like a girly girl in its highest girly girl form, I am here. And so naturally, that is what I lean towards. That's naturally what my shop leans towards, and also Southwest Planner Club. For me, it's just because you might love pink, that doesn't make you a girl or a boy or, gender neutral. You can love whatever you love. So I think for me, what is important to me and what I will never lose is things being pretty and, fun and attractive and like sparkly feeling. But that doesn't mean you have to be a female to enjoy that. Um, so I don't think that will ever change. I don't think you're ever going to come to an event and it's going to be black and dark purple and like gothic themed. Like, can you imagine that? Although at the same time, I do love like celestial things. And sometimes like that's really like a bit of a darker vibe, isn't it? On the whole, I'm all about colour and pastel and fun. And it's just important that everybody feels welcome. And let's say somebody identified as male, they can still come in a pink bloody dress if they want to. Like, who cares? Like, so people just need to feel comfortable being them, coming as themselves, and showing up how they want to. Although I am what you would imagine as your typical girly girl, who builds those boxes? Who says you're a girl because you love pink?
But I think that from attending your event, I have not experienced anything that's been super gendered or felt like I had to even be the more girly aesthetic, which is a beautiful aesthetic, and sometimes I'm feeling the vibe and other times I'm not, but I never felt like in my personal experience of attending your events that that's what I had to be in order to quote unquote fit in.
This year, there is going to be quite a big squad element to the event. Emily Harvey Art, who you may know, she is drawing and illustrating all of the graphics for the event this year. And there is an element coming that really will be heavily squad focused and planner people focused. But I really hope that we can honour the community and give a really lovely representation of everybody in that.
Do we get planner cheerleaders? Are there going to be people cheering us on the side while we do our planners?
I think that should be your job, Ari. I can imagine you there with the pom-poms. Give me an S, give me a W, give me a P, give me a C. It's fun, I like it.
I'm not going to hide this. I am part of your Patreon. I've been part of it from the beginning. I think I was literally one of the first people to join it. I'm an OG, you know.
Yeah, you're an OG.
I think I was one of the original people to be part of it. I literally think I, on the day, woke up and...
I think you probably are. You could even have been the first. I'm going to have to look at that.
And I hadn't ever even been to one of your events yet. I think the first time we ever spoke was literally like on the first ever Patreon Zoom call.
I remember that because I remember if you were the first, which I think you might have been, being like, who is this person? Like, they've joined Patreon, but I've never even spoken to them. And I have no idea who they are. Like, was it a mistake? Like, and I think, like, must have obviously started talking to you, and you were just like, I couldn't come to the event, but I've been watching you, and I love Southwest Planner Club.
I get very anxious around people, and I very much have taken Southwest Planner Club as my way of making friends and things. But also, I am quite interested in this because I think you're the only event in the UK, at least I know, that has a Patreon. And I'd love to know, like, do you feel a lot more pressure to kind of, how do I put this, like, share ideas and kind of take ideas from the Patreon because it is so much of linked with your event?
I don't feel pressure at all. I just feel positive about it. Like, what's better than having a group of people who are your biggest cheerleaders in your corner who can give you ideas? You can like throw things around, see what they think. Like, I absolutely love it. And I would not be without our patrons. The patron community is lovely, and I've made really good friends through it who I may not have made friends with otherwise. It's a small group of people, but definitely, as they say, it's quality over quantity. And I just feel like we've made a really close-knit group of friends now. Yeah, I don't feel any pressure at all. Like, I'm pretty confident. If someone said an idea and I thought it was rubbish, I'd just be like, I wouldn't obviously be like, that's rubbish, get away. But I'd just, obviously still make them feel good because at the end of the day, they've come up with an idea. But I would, I wouldn't feel like I couldn't say thank you so much, but I don't think that's right for this event. Don't feel like I have to use ideas. But yeah, I just feel like it's a positive. Like, I've had great ideas from all of you that I had not thought of. And, so that helps the event and, everything that Southwest Planner Club does, not just the events. But it's also exciting to be able to have that group of people to bounce off and to share things with. And, I love telling you all things when it hasn't been released yet and it's like secret and it feels like we're all in the know but nobody else is. Like, yeah, it's exciting.
I think that's definitely an incentive for people to join, is definitely getting to hear the secrets and, being sworn to Southwest Planner Club secrecy.
We need like a little like handshake or like little movement that we do. Like the Scouts. Southwest Planner Club honour.
I'm just waiting for the Patreon Letterman jackets.
That's a good idea. That is an idea.
The event is in the summer. You could get like a baseball jersey. I know that baseball is an American thing, but it's very lightweight, and you could all walk in as the squad.
I can just see us now, like, yeah, we are the squad.
At the beginning of this episode, I asked you back in 2019, where did you see the event and Southwest Planner Club being in 5 years? So I'll ask you the same question now. Where do you see Southwest Planner Club in 2029?
Wow, 2029, that feels like a long time away, doesn't it? But I bet it'll be here before we know it. There are things I'd like to do. So there are things that aren't necessarily event related that I'd like to do. So I am hoping to bring out a series of workshops this year. I'd love to do a Southwest Planner Club advent. I've got lots of ideas, like I'd like to do a Christmas party, lots of things. What can be managed when is obviously another question, like as well as doing this and my shop, I also work full time. So there is only so many hours in the day. But I would like to grow it. I'd like to grow it and grow the different things that I do. However, I do not want to lose the core of Southwest Planner Club and what makes it special. And there's always a temptation to get a bigger and bigger venue and have hundreds and hundreds of people. But would it be the same if we were sat in a room where there was 30 tables of people, to where there's this year going to be 12 tables of people and we can talk to every person in there, between us? And yeah, I just don't want to lose the personal element of it. I know every single person's name that comes. Yes, sometimes I might forget, but on the whole, I know every single person and I speak to them all and I have photos, and it feels like a weekend spent with friends. And so what is really important to me is to not lose that. And so no matter how much I grow, I don't ever want to get to that point. So I think I'd like to grow in the way of like expanding the offering, doing more things for people who can't come to events. So, I'm always asked for more online events, but organizing an online event still takes quite a lot, which is why I'm thinking about kind of doing mini online things and things for specifically for businesses and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd like to expand in that way rather than just growing and growing and growing to the point where it's just not personal anymore and it becomes just this massive thing. But yeah, it's important to me to not lose that and to remember where it started, the reason it started, the wonderful patrons, and staying connected to the roots of the Southwest Planner Club, really. I would absolutely love to be able to reduce the hours I work and to actually do Southwest Planner Club as like a bit of a job. That would be the ultimate dream, even if it was like one day a week that actually I worked for Southwest Planner Club. That would be amazing. And I guess maybe that's the dream rather than what we will achieve, just to get to the point where like there's so many exciting things going on that I need to dedicate physical like time to it, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much for joining us, Holly. So, just for anyone, in case there are any tickets floating about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Southwest Planner Club 2024 is in September the 14th and 15th, and it is being held in Taunton at a Holiday Inn. It's a weekend event. It starts around 2 p.m, 1:30 registration, kind of early afternoon, and runs through until 10 p.m. And then we have a full Sunday of workshops and swag and planner friends and fun. I think there's about 15, 20 tickets left when we record this, but who knows by the time this goes out whether the last kind of, but yeah, make sure you check out the website. The website is being developed, so there is information on there, but always like look on socials. I'm always announcing everything on Instagram. There's a Facebook group, or just always send me a message if you want to know anything.
Thank you so, so much for your time, for chatting with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And thank you, those who are listening. We really appreciate you tuning in to this episode. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to listen to this episode, especially because Holly was here sharing all her, all the information. So thank you, everyone who tuned in.
Thank you so much for joining us again. We are so grateful you're here. If you're joining us for the first time or you've come from a different episode, we are so grateful for you to listen, and we hope to have you in another episode.
I hope that your washi is straight and that your stickers go exactly where you want to place them.
And rest assured, as always, everything that we've talked about, including Southwest Planner Club social and Holly's page as well, will be linked down below. Please visit the shops, Southwest Planner Club, and everything else that we've mentioned. We will also link the website.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I don't know why I waved. I never usually wave.